In this video, we'll take an early look at the 2024 Week 1 main slate on FanDuel, focusing on running backs. And it's coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee with the Fantasy Football Consultants, and I'm super pumped to be talking running backs on this show on the main slate for FanDuel. We will do shows on quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends. And when available, links to those shows will be in the description of this video. Now, a call out to all of you guys watching. Please enter in the comment sections your favorite Week 1 running back given their FanDuel pricing and tell us why. Now, at least around 1 week before the season, we are going to do a full cash lineup for Week 1 on FanDuel with our favorite GPP plays. So you don't miss that show or any of our preseason content. Please like this video, share it with all your friends, and most importantly, hit that red subscriber button followed by the bell icon. Let's go into the studio and take a look at the slate. All right, let's look at the slate of running backs. You know what we're looking for running backs. We want that bell cow back who's going to get the goal line carries, who get involved in the passing game that's in a good environment. And if we can find all that, we're willing to pay up because no position returns value better than running backs. But some of my key guys are not on this main slate. The top 5 running backs, in my opinion, 3 of them not on the main slate. No Christian McCaffrey, no Breece Hall, and no Saquon Barkley. And because of that, the 2 that are left in my list are the 2 most expensive, Bejan Robinson and Jonathan Taylor, and they both come with some question marks. There's a lot to like about Bejan Robinson. This guy has so much talent. Rookie last year, entering his sophomore season. But here's a stat that might surprise you. With all the fanfare of Bejan Robinson and the 16 healthy games that he played, he only had 3 more carries than Tyler Algier. The old coaching staff, I just think, didn't properly utilize him. The good news is we have a new head coach. We have a new offensive coordinator. And that offense coordinator, when he was with the Rams, he heavily relied on Kyren Williams. So here's with the hope that they heavily rely on the run game with Bejan Robinson. So the one area of the run game that Robinson didn't excel in last year was short yardage. He only converted 6 of 12 attempts when they only needed 1 yard. So I would not be surprised that Tyler Algier retains that role as well as a goal line role. He will get heavily involved in the passing game, so that will help. Reasonably good in game environment with a 23 implied total and a home favorite by 3 points. So there's a lot to like in Bejan Robinson, but for him to be not good, but outstanding this year, he needs to get more of the carries from the new coaching staff. Jonathan Taylor, hey, if he can just resume anything what he was like in 2021 when he had over 2,000 yards and 20 TDs for the season, that would be great. But that was 2 full seasons ago. The season after that in 2022, he was injured the entire year. In 2023, he had a contract squabbles and was injured part of the year, so he only played 8 games. But as you see on this game log, the 8 games, once he got going, was pretty good. In the 8 full games that he played, he averaged 100 yards and 1 TD a game. So what's the concern with him? Because he gets involved in the passing game, some, not a lot. That is one concern. But the other, less of a concern on FanDuel with a half PPR. But the other concern is, how is he mixed with Anthony Richardson? He played only a limited amount of time with Anthony Richardson last year, since he only played 4 games, and a bunch of those were at the beginning of the year when Taylor was still coming back from his contract squabbles. Because Richardson runs the ball so much and runs around the end zone, what is that impact on Taylor? So a couple question marks at the top of the ticket here, but there isn't a big difference in price. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs and Kyren Williams are only 800 and 600 and let's say $600 to $1,000 less. So let's talk about these two guys. So one thing that FanDuel did for week one, it would be interesting to see if they do this all year. They added to the main slate the Sunday night game, the LA Rams and Detroit. So that bolsters a couple of pretty good running backs here on our slate, Jahmyr Gibbs and Kyren Williams. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs is coming off a hamstring injury in preseason, but the latest word while I am recording is he's likely going to play. The question you want to look at as we get closer is he going to be limited at all? Or do you have that concern? And if that is the case, I'm out. Why? They have David Montgomery, who is a very good back. And if he's not at 100%, I don't think that they're going to have any trouble giving Montgomery more of a load than he normally gets. Nothing wrong with Kyren Williams, though. He was simply fantastic last year. In 12 games that he played, he averaged 112 combined yards with 15 TDs, and he did it efficiently. 5 yards a carry, and let's tick it off, the goal line. Absolutely outstanding. 17 of 18 times he converted when they only needed 1 yard. So if you're looking for something to be worried about, because you're always looking for something to be worried about, they did select in the third round Blake Corum. He was the third running back selected. He is slightly bigger and faster. New offensive coordinator, where the other one leaned heavily on Williams. Will there be a little bit more of a committee role between him and Corum? I guess no, at least in week one. Watch the news, and it's something to watch for. But if I felt comfortable that Williams was going to get a lot of the action, I kind of like this. If Williams at $7,800. Rashad White is someone who also should get the lion's share of the load in a good game environment at home against a Washington team that last year was absolutely terrible against running backs, dead last. And their defense just in general was not very good last year. And White does not have a whole lot of competition. They drafted running back Bucky Irving, but I don't think he is going to be a threat. They drafted him in the fourth round, so later than Blake Corum. And you like the fact that he kind of ticks all the boxes. He should get a majority of the carries. He gets involved in the passing game. He should be the goal line back, and he's got a good game environment here. So an interesting pick at 7,700. But here's my favorite so far. At 7,600, James Cook. Now, I'll get the bad part out of the way right now. Yes, I know that they have Josh Allen, and Josh Allen is someone who I think he got 11 or 12 rushing touchdowns last year. So, not quite one per game. But look at the game environment. The implied total here is 28. So even if Josh Allen gets a rushing touchdown, there's still 3 more touchdowns to account for. And man, James Cook is the running back on this team. In the last 9 games, after they changed offensive coordinators, he got 7 carries per game. So I love the environment. Like I said, 28 implied total. They should play from ahead, a 7-point favorite over Arizona. I think he's going to be cooking in week one. Travis Etienne is also, compared to where he was on DraftKings, is very cheap on FanDuel at 7,500. I get it. A lot of his value comes in the passing game, and FanDuel is only a half PPR. But this game is expected to be a shootout. So I kind of like Travis Etienne if you're playing GPP as a sneaky GPP play where you stack this particular game. either stacking him with Trevor Lawrence and then running it back with a guy like Tyreek Hill, or having Tua throwing to Tyreek Hill, and the run back player is Travis Etienne, because the guy gets so involved in the passing game. Looks like Travis Etienne last year had 58 receptions, so that is very good for a running back. And he had a combined 87 yards per game. The only concern is, does he cede some of his workload to Tank Bigsby? And if so, how much? And will he cede it in from the goal line? Bigsby is bigger, so we'll have to see, and we'll have to watch the news as we get closer to the start of the season. All right, a couple other players that I think are worth talking about here in consideration for week one. I'm going to talk about my man from the Seattle Seahawks, Ken Walker. He was priced up from where he was on DraftKings, so I don't love his price here at $7,400. What I do love is the game environment, a home favorite, a solid 23.5 implied total. And I expect him, as they say in this article, to be the number one running back. The Seahawks didn't draft a running back, and their big draft pick last year, Zach Charbonnet, was simply not a threat to Ken Walker. He wasn't a threat in his overall workload. He wasn't a threat in the goal line. Would you believe Zach Charbonnet was used inside the 5 6 times? And in those 6 carries inside the 5, he totaled -6 yards and only got into the end zone once. So I blame the drop in Ken Walker's production last year, and it was a drop. He dropped from getting 82 yards down to 63 yards. Is the Seahawk offensive line. And as a Seahawk fan, hopefully they have done some things to address that offensive line. So hopefully it'll be a little bit better. And the guy that I really like at 7,300 is Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, no longer on the Bengals, now moves to Houston. I think he inherits, going to Houston, a better offensive line than he did with Cincinnati. So the Joe Mixon haters out there will point out that over the last 5 years, he's averaged about 4 yards a carry. He's getting old. He's 28 years old. But I still believe in Mixon. And you know who else does? The Houston Texans, because they signed him for $8.5 million, which is $3 million more than what they were paying Devin Singletary. And Singletary averaged 72 rushing yards a game and 15 receiving yards. I think that should be a floor for what Joe Mixon should be able to give you. And I think Mixon will be a little better than Devin Singletary around the goal line. All right, so I'm going to quickly talk about a couple people. Alvin Kamara, assuming he is healthy by game time, love his game environment as a home favorite against one of the worst teams, the worst team last year, the Carolina Panthers. The concern with Kamara is he also is getting older at 29 years old, and his efficiency has dropped from 4.9 in a carry his first 4 years to the last 3 years to 3.9 a carry. Goal line is a little concerned because the Saints like to do crazy things with Taysom Hill around the goal line, which doesn't always involve Alvin Kamara. And we need to see what the role is going to be like to last year's rookie, Kendre Miller, who was injured almost the entire year. He should be healthy this year. And I just want a couple situations for you to watch out for. Watch out for who becomes the number one running back in Cincinnati, because whoever it is has a great game environment. I mean, Cincinnati, wow, is a 26.5 implied total and 9.5 point favorites over New England, and they're at home. It's either going to be Zach Moss at 6,900 or all the way down to looks like 5,400 is Chase Brown. So man, what a bargain it is if Chase Brown is the one that wins the starting job. So something you're going to have to watch out for. The other situation I'm interested in taking a look at is in the LA Chargers. So the LA Chargers, you may immediately think, man, this with Justin Herbert, who's such a talented quarterback, they're going to be throwing the ball all over the place. I think it's going to be a new Charger team this year. There is no Austin Eckler, who is so good in the passing game. There is no Keenan Allen. There is no Mike Williams. And they didn't bring in any really big name wide receiver to take their role. And instead, it looks like it's either going to be Gus Edwards and DK Robbins. And we have a new coaching staff with Jim Harbaugh. And Jim Harbaugh traditionally likes to run the ball. And with his personnel, I assume that he's going to rely on Gus Edwards and DK Robbins. Yes, the two came together from, again, who used to be Baltimore Ravens. Whoever is going to be the starter is going to be at a bargain price. $6,000 for Edwards, $5,500 for Dobbins. Wow. Lots of if we can see someone emerge as the featured back here, great bargain, because it's a good game environment. They're home favorites against the Raiders. So things to look for. So I can't wait for the start of this season. So until we start breaking this down with a full lineup 1 week before, be sure to check out all the rest of our preseason content. And until I see you in the next video, take care, everybody. I'll actually put up 2 videos on the screen right now that we think you'll enjoy.